Protractor Aparajita.
Hi, I'm Protractor Kshitija and we welcome you to the first episode of The Art of Atmanirbharta. In this episode, we chose this one-of-a-kind country which is small but has a big heart. They have a unique history, a vibrant culture, and the greatest of landscapes with the clearest of waters. Can you guess which country this is?
New Zealand holds a population of 4.9 million people, which makes it one of the least populated countries in the world. New Zealand's economy, when measured by the nominal GDP, is the 51st largest economy in the world, and also it is the 67th largest economy as per the purchasing power parity. Its GDP growth rate as per the data of 2018 is 2.8%. New Zealand's unemployment rate is 4.5% and its inflation rate is 1.5%. Its FDI inflow is $1.4 billion. The labor market performs well with high levels of participation by the highly skilled workers and low unemployment. Moreover, New Zealand government imposes very few restrictions on the startups. In fact, they have several initiatives to help people starting out with their own business.
Do you know what is one very important thing which is common between India and New Zealand? New Zealand became wealthy because it changed very quickly from being a land with few good crops and farm animals to being a land with lots of them, which had been selectively bred for thousands of years to suit a similar climate. What that means is New Zealand's biggest industry is agriculture, same as India. Now looking at the population, these facts and numbers are lit. New Zealand is the world's fifth richest country measured by per adult wealth.
But what makes New Zealand so wealthy? How did this small country end up becoming a developed one? Let's head back to its history. Prior to the arrival of the Europeans, the land was occupied by the tribes called Maori. The Maori were Polynesian tribes which had built perennial establishments and exploited the natural resources of the land to build a way of life. It was around 15th century that the exploitation of these resources had slowed down. Gold was the main engine behind New Zealand's economy around 1860s.
And then came along a phase of depression. Many settlers foresaw a colony that would become a better and bigger Britain. In fact, once the gold had run down, the developing New Zealand had very little to sell. Flax, timber, grain, and tallow could not even make up 10% of the total exports. Even gold could not prevent a massive trade deficit.
The second main phase of New Zealand's economy began at 1890s. During this time, New Zealand became Britain's primary producer. During 1930s, the policymakers were committed to find solutions to the problems New Zealand faced during the Depression. The exchange rate was devalued by 25% in 1933. In 1934, the Reserve Bank opened for business. This was to give New Zealand's authorities more tools to manage future downturns in the economy. The main development in the economy of New Zealand came along with World War II. The World War II was surely a human tragedy, but it was economically beneficial for New Zealand.
And then came a planned recovery. The World War II led the government to take nearly total control of the economy. It's even hard to imagine what it was like. The taxes were really high and complex. Just so you can get an idea, the highest income tax rate was 70% and the lowest was 40%. Besides, there were tons of regulations, price control for almost any product, currency control, and much more. They controlled almost every large national company, media, airlines, insurance companies, even hotels. The consequences of these were really bad. Opening up businesses was really tough and only the bravest could do it.
And then, the elections took place in 1984, which were won by the then President David Long. His government had a purpose to overcome the crisis and raise as a nation. The leader of the whole process was Roger Douglas, hence the program was known as Rogernomics. In this program, many of the sectors in economy were liberalized and one of these included the agricultural sector. Due to this, the changes were seen overnight. Restrictions on the capital flow were lifted, import licensing became a dominant feature of the economy. New Zealand's economy performed so well post-war that the government was able to reverse the exchange rates. The currency was put back on parity with the UK pound, and the economy kept on developing from here on. But what keeps New Zealand's economy steady? Well, there are several factors, and one of them is the open economy.
New Zealand's economy entered the longest period of significant growth in 1998. This growth came as a result of the newly diversified and deregulated economy. For the first time, New Zealand was running long-term fiscal surpluses in the OECD, and the unemployment rate had fallen to levels that were never seen before. This country has gone from being one of the OECD's most highly regulated economies to the least regulated, and these are free market economies. The stock market continues to show strong growth as well, rising 22% as of 2017, held up by the economy growing at a rate that is above average. So what can India learn from New Zealand and its struggles? 1. Things take a lot of time to change, even in a country as small, but change does occur. New Zealand is a country which has always been keen on learning from its mistakes and hence is now seen as a role model. The World War II was definitely a tragedy, but this country managed to grasp onto the opportunity to recover its economy within the 1950s. Right now, India is one of the topmost countries with the highest hits of the COVID-19 cases. Every country's GDP is dropping, but now is the right time for India to open a door of opportunities out of a crisis. India's GDP keeps growing at a slow rate, but the unemployment rate remains the same. This problem is deep-rooted.
India needs more businesses and startups in sectors like insurance, healthcare, environment, transportation, and biological sciences. I mean, isn't it obvious now? Our unemployment rate must be brought down, for which we need more startups, businesses, and companies, which can in turn hire people. We must stand in support of Indian brands and empower them. We can focus on improvement and investment in infrastructure, long-term investments, better skilled workers, and more green projects. India's economy can also boost if entrepreneurial banks are started.
We need to understand the tax sector, especially the younger generation. It needs to be simplified and people shouldn't be able to find it complex. It is important for the people to be able to do business with the government without any complexities. New Zealand has various government-handled websites and digital services like Business Connect, which allows large and small-scale businesses and startups to apply for permit and licenses from various agencies all at one place. But hey, we have that in India too. Startup India is a flagship initiative of the Government of India, which is intended to build a strong ecosystem of entrepreneurs, nurturing innovation and development in the country.
The goal of Startup India is the development and innovation of products and services, and thus increasing the employment rate. When you open the website, you'll find a section to explore the startups by state, schemes and policy, and a whole lot of other things. New Zealand is a country with far less population than that of India, and that is one of the reasons, or small contributing factor, for them being able to handle any other serious problem better than other countries. So, spread the word and control the population.
Most of us are privileged enough to take out time and volunteer to explain these extremely important things to the people who are not fortunate enough. We need to encourage and support them to come up with new businesses so that India can truly become Atmanirbhar.
Here we come to the end of the first episode of The Art of Atmanirbharta. What things you think can be done to boost up the economy of India? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you. Stay safe.